recent killings of citizens in Plateau State has been at the front burner of national discourse, with stakeholders calling on security agencies and the federal government to come to their aid. Representative Yusuf Gagdi from Plateau State had in an open letter to the president proffered solutions to the lingering crisis, a problem he said is so worrisome.
It is important for us to know that the member that was just sworn in, we lost Haruna Maitala of Jos North Bassa Federal Constituency before the member from Lere died. So it beat my imagination that we have lost a colleague from Jos North Bassa where they have insecurity problem and where they should have representation on this floor of the House to speak for them. But election was conducted where a member was lost prior to the one lost in Jos North Bassa Federal Constituency. Mr. Speaker, the people are confused, and Plateau people will not want to be underrepresented on this floor of the House. It is very important to call the attention of Mr. Speaker so that the attention of Independent National Electoral Commission will be called to ensure that the people of Jos North Bassa have representation here. Lastly, Mr. Speaker, I commended the governor for obvious reasons. Mr. Speaker, you know Plateau and you know crisis in Plateau. It took the effort of stakeholders and the governor of Plateau State to ensure that the crisis was de-escalated from affecting other communities. And I urge you, Mr. Speaker, to please take the issue of having representation of Jos North Bassa. To please, Mr. Speaker.
You'll see you, Honorable Sate will see you.
Mr. Speaker, I urge you to take the issue of election in Jos North Bassa very serious, so that the people that are facing tremendous problem will have a representation in this hallowed chamber. Thank you for giving Plateau the opportunity, and thank you for listening to us. And we hope equally, Mr. Speaker, that all the prayers should be sustained so that you visit the Plateau people, and so that intervention by humanitarian agency would equally go to the doorstep of the affected communities.
At plenary on Wednesday, he prayed the Speaker to lead a delegation to the state, mandate INEC to, as a matter of urgency, conduct by-election to fill vacant seat of Jos North Bassa Federal Constituency, and commend the state governor for efforts made so far in bringing peace to the plateau.
And commiserate with them over the lives and property lost. 3, mandate the Federal Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs, Disaster Management and Social Development, National Emergency Management Agency, and other relevant humanitarian agencies as a matter of urgency, Mr. Speaker, to provide relief materials to the victims of attacks in Plateau in order to assuage the suffering of their survivors. 4, Mr. Speaker, commend the governor of Plateau State for taking active steps that prevented the escalation of the reprisal attacks that was imminent following the killings and the input of the security operatives in that regard. 5, urge the federal government to redeem their earlier pledge of 10 billion naira in 2020 for the resettlement of victims of attacks in Plateau, and to also extend similar privileges accorded to victims of crisis in other parts of the country to the victims of crisis in Jos Plateau State. And 5, Mr. Speaker, mandate the Independent National Electoral Commission as a matter of urgency to conduct by-election to fill the vacant position of Jos North Bassa Federal Constituency without further delay, so that they can also have their voice back in this honorable House.
I stand to second the motion heavily moved by my honorable colleague Yusuf Gagdi. I so second.
A 1-minute silence was observed in honor of victims of the recent killings in the state. All prayers were unanimously adopted and referred to the relevant committee for further legislative action.
Those in support, please say aye. Those against, please say nay. Ayes have it.
Please don't go